Should I do a little? Do you guys want a reading? I don't mind. We can just do. I can read, or we can just go straight to Q&A.
Lay it on us.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to abridge this chapter because I know everyone has places to get to, but I'm going to read. I've kind of truncated this chapter. So this takes place in the middle of the book. This is chapter 6, and I realized as I was actually doing the audiobook that I can only read standing up, so I also have to be stood like Billy Joe Armstrong. No, it was crazy that I went to do the audiobook, and I go in and I have like my book with me, and they're like laughing. I'm like, what? They're like, well, we don't read from the book. We have an iPad because it rustles the pages, and it's this whole thing. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sorry, stupid me. And then after 2 days of trying to read this iPad and the whole, like the words, it's just looking like mush. The end of the second day, finally, I was like, can I just please try and read something from the book? And I read like one paragraph, like, just read the book, we'll fix the rustling. Like, so I had to like go back and then finish those first. Always just like also to have this like Wu-Tang tendency to put the mic exactly on my mouth, and that sounds crazy. So I did learn that reading from the book and standing up were like kind of the better thing to do. So this is, I'm like 20. I've had 2 years of DJing in the New York scene. I've kind of made my way up a little bit, but then I've like pissed off some of the wrong people, and now I've kind of been kicked out of this cool downtown scene because I've been like stealing mixes from other DJs sort of good-heartedly. And so I'm now DJing sort of like just not cool, whatever, bar, lounges, gigs on the Upper East Side, whatever, just to pay rent. So that's about where this happens. Okay. Pring! That's really not what that phone sounded like. It was like a Sony digital phone from the 90s, so it's like, okay, let me try it again. Pring! The muffled chirp of the Sony cordless echoed from somewhere in the room, sounding like an 8-bit baby bird that had fallen from its nest. But where was it? Under a pillow, in the pocket of a hoodie, inside last night's pizza box? I glanced at my roommate Jason, sprawled on the other couch, his thumbs twitching on the PlayStation, the only sign of life. Jason, you got the phone? Nah, he muttered, eyes glued to the screen. Pring! I scanned the room, then shoved my hand between the cushions, pulling out 2 cigarette butts, 1 Nike sock, and a couple of headphone adapters. Pring! The answering machine clicked on. Hey, this is Evan from Budavar, looking for Mark Ronson. I need a DJ tonight. Budavar? I had 10 seconds before this guy hung up and moved on, and it was the only decent job offer I'd had in months. The voice continued. Get back to me ASAP, but I dropped to my knees, thrusting my arm under the couch until my fingers brushed plastic. Found it! The phone was wedged stuck. All I could do was hit talk. Yes, this is he, I shouted into the void beneath the couch. I need a DJ tonight, 11 to 4. You free? Hell yes. An end to my banishment from downtown. See you tonight. I hung up, still sprawled on the floor. The squalor of the living room stretched before me, overflowing ashtrays, half-eaten mozzarella sticks, and greasy takeout boxes and records scattered everywhere. Thanks to my making good on my promise to my mother, I had enrolled as an undergraduate at NYU, but I haven't even considered living in the dorms. I was back in the city to DJ while going to college, not the other way around. Rent was covered by a $1,000 monthly stipend from a trust fund my grandfather had set up before he died. Thanks to my departed grandfather, as long as I booked 2 gigs a week, I could keep things afloat. But ever since Tilt was my one cool gig that I lost. The gigs have been humbling. After work parties, random uptown bars, whatever helped out. Buddha Bar, on the other hand. I had heard its name so many times. Have you been to Buddha Bar? We're going to Buddha Bar tonight. Did you hear what happened to Buddha Bar last Sunday? I'm just keeping track of this stuff that I'm sparing you, which is so great. You'll definitely want to read it. Most nights, unless you were a supermodel, new supermodels, or related to one, you weren't getting in. The exception seemed to be Lenny Kravitz. When he walked into a room, supermodels materialized out of thin air. That didn't stop my friend Simon Rex and me from wasting our nights outside declaring, "We're with Lenny! He must have forgot to put us on the list." Rejection and denial, New York's most renewable resource. Even a Times Square Applebee's was drenched in attitude. But not tonight. Tonight, I was getting in. There was one sort of problem. I already had a gig at the not-so-cool Reminisce Lounge, a bar on the Upper East Side. Marcus, the owner, had hired me after catching me downtown. The Reminisce Lounge crowd wasn't hip, but they danced to the same shit people dance to downtown and needed to let off steam as much as anyone else. I felt something honorable in playing for the working stiffs. What was a gigging bar DJ if not Billy Joel's Piano Man in Air Max 90s, minus the harmonica and the tip jar? I liked Marcus and was grateful for the check, but Boulevard, well, that was 10 rungs up the ladder. There was no way I was schlepping uptown tonight, not after this opportunity had come my way. I picked up the phone to call Marcus and his machine answered. A small victory out the gate. Hey, Marcus, definitely coming down with something, so I won't be in. Don't worry, lined up someone great to fill in. Okay, see you next week. Someone disinfect this microphone. I called my boy Max Glazer, a great DJ who worked at 8 Ball Records. Hey man, I said. I gave him the rundown. Busy tonight, but you could try Cosmo, I'm pretty sure he's free. I hung up and hesitated. It was dicey, bringing in someone I didn't know to cover for me with so much on the line, but I didn't have a choice. I dialed Cosmo and told him the deal. He sounded reliable enough, though a faint indifference colored his voice. I hung up, crisis averted, time to get ready. One last base to cover. Hey, Jason? He hit pause on the PlayStation and turned to me. I got an offer to play Boulevard tonight. It's a big opportunity. So I called Reminisce. I told him I'm sick. If Marcus calls, just back me up. Say I'm out cold in bed. Got you, bro. Once in the cab, we headed down Lexington and a cooling breeze came through the cracked window. It was a perfect New York summer dusk, blue fading into black like a Rothko painting. I stepped out, gripping the first crate with both hands, and with a shove of my shoulder, the thick double doors swung open. But hold up, what the fuck? There was a DJ already here. A black dude in a flat wool cap already set up and spinning like this was his gig. I walked over. Hey, I'm Mark. I'm supposed to be DJing tonight? Nope. I'm Jeff Brown, and I was booked to play tonight. Who the fuck are you? Then he went right back to queuing his next record as if I wasn't the only person on the empty dance floor. Oh, maybe there's been a mistake. I'm sure there's a... Man, you know what? He said, slamming his headphones down onto the mixer. I'm sick of all you white boy DJs coming around and taking all the fucking gigs. This is bullshit, man. I'm done with it. The force of his words hit hard, mainly because he was completely right. Downtown was flooded with white DJs spinning black music. Everyone knew it. No one questioned the credibility of Stretch Armstrong. But the clubs, while diverse on the dance floor, were in all-in-white neighborhoods and run by white owners. Some felt more comfortable around white DJs. A few were straight-up racist. Your average white DJ had too many things working in their favor, myself included. I had no comeback. Plus, this whole thing felt like karma for lying to Marcus. On the other hand, I really wanted this gig. So I stepped back up to Jeff and I gave it another shot. I'm sure there's some kind of deal where we can both play and still get paid. Would you mind if I talk to the manager for both of us? He gave me half a shrug. After some back and forth, we worked it out. Split the time, split the pay, and a couple of songs into our shaky start. He saw I knew my shit and began to thaw. I liked him too. He was prickly, with a sharp tongue and good taste. As the place filled up, our back and forth was clicking. I took a gulp of my third Absolute Cranberry and caught a silhouette barreling through the door. This can't be happening, but it was. Marcus from Reminisce Lounge was striding purposely through the crowd looking furious. He scanned the room until his gaze landed on the booth, my chest tight, and he marched towards me. I'm going to start monitoring the cursing because I realize it's Sunday afternoon and we're near the children's section. What the F is going on here, he said. The question was clearly rhetorical. I got this call. I was going to call, but it's because for the second time that night I had nothing to say. I was so in the wrong. The only move was to shut up. You stood me up tonight. What happened to Cosmo, though? Who the F is Cosmo? Jesus. Cosmo bailed. Disastrous. But one thing didn't make sense. How did Marcus know I was at Boulevard? This probably wasn't the moment to ask. You know what? Marcus said, his voice cold now. Don't come back to work. He turned, grabbed his date's hand, and stormed out the door. The entire club seemed enveloped in fog. Lauryn Hill was playing, but her voice was muffled and distant. I liked Marcus. He looked out for me, trusted me, and I'd abandoned him. I was already struggling for work, and now I just lost one of the few things I had going for me. I wondered if Jeff was enjoying this, but instead he handed me the headphones. DJ 101 for You Got Next. The crowd got into it, and my mood lifted. The energy was feeding my ego, and the absolute cranberry was feeding something else. Soon, I was feeling pretty damn good again. Jeff and I were trading tracks and laughs, all tensions a thing of the past. On the bumpy ride home, I thought about the mess I'd made. The vodka and validation had felt good, but it had hardly been worth the emotional fallout. I was stupid to think one night at Buddha Bar would change anything. Tonight was just like any other night, heading home, depleted, alone, and a little too tipsy. Dragging my crates through the front door, I found Jason where I'd left him. "Hey man, how was your night?" I asked, setting my crates down. "Chill, some dope new games I picked up." "Cool, did anyone call for me?" I paused. "Oh yeah, this guy Marcus, he asked where you were, so I told him you were DJing down at Buddha Bar." I stared at my crates, too tired to be angry. I needed a new roommate though.